You've probably bragged about being a multitasker, answering emails, cooking dinner, scrolling social media, and maybe even watching this video at the same time. But here's the catch. Your brain is lying to you. True multitasking doesn't actually exist. What you're really doing is task switching, and every switch makes you slower, sloppier, and more exhausted. Today we're going to break down why multitasking is a myth, what's really happening inside your head, and how you can beat the illusion. If you enjoy these mind-bending truths about how your brain works, hit like and subscribe before you forget halfway through while multitasking. So what is multitasking really? Multitasking has a reputation for being impressive. It makes you sound like you're operating at superhero level, answering emails, talking on the phone, flipping pancakes, and listening to a podcast all at once. But neuroscience tells us something different. Multitasking doesn't actually exist. Not in the way we imagine. The truth is, your brain isn't juggling multiple tasks. Instead, it's performing rapid task switching, like a spotlight flicking back and forth between two different stages. Every time your focus changes, your brain shuts one thing down and boots another up. That stop-start process comes with a cost psychologists call the switching cost, and it's surprisingly expensive. Studies show even a small interruption can derail performance. Glance at your phone during work, and you'll likely lose several minutes of focus trying to get back into the flow. Think of it like flipping channels on a TV. If you're trying to watch two shows at once by hopping between them, you'll miss critical details in both. That's multitasking in a nutshell. Lots of effort, but not much clarity. One of the clearest examples comes from driving. Research shows that using a phone while driving, even hands-free, slows reaction times to the same degree as being legally intoxicated. Your brain isn't splitting its attention between the road and the call. It's toggling rapidly between them, leaving dangerous blind spots in your awareness. The illusion feels real because the brain switches fast enough to trick us. You think you're listening to a podcast while working, but in reality, your focus is bouncing between the two so quickly that both get watered down. The result? More errors, slower progress, and mental fatigue. So what is multitasking really? Not a superpower, not even a skill. It's a clever brain glitch, an illusion that makes you feel productive while actually stealing efficiency from every task you attempt. So, why do we all fall for it? If multitasking is such a lie, why do we keep convincing ourselves we're good at it? The answer lies in how our brains are wired and how our culture rewards busyness. On a biological level, multitasking feels good because of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Every time you switch from one task to another, you get a little hit of novelty. Your brain interprets novelty as progress, even when you're not moving forward efficiently. Checking Instagram between emails feels like you're getting more done, but really, it's just tricking the brain into chasing short bursts of stimulation. That fleeting satisfaction is enough to make us repeat the cycle again and again. Culturally, multitasking has been glorified for decades. Employers praised workers who claimed they could juggle multiple responsibilities at once. Students bragged about studying while gaming, and society rewarded busyness as a badge of honor. The more plates you were spinning, the more valuable you seemed. Somewhere along the line, multitasking became shorthand for intelligence, productivity, and hustle, even though the science never supported it. What makes this illusion worse is overconfidence. Research shows that people who consider themselves great multitaskers are often the worst at it. They struggle more with filtering distractions and focusing, but the illusion of competence keeps the myth alive. People think, sure, maybe multitasking doesn't work for most people, but I'm different. Spoiler, you're not. None of us are. This illusion is universal. The student flipping between textbooks and TikTok, the office worker toggling between Slack and spreadsheets, the parent cooking dinner while answering emails. They all fall victim to the same trap. Multitasking isn't about doing two things well. It's about doing both at half strength while your brain burns extra fuel trying to keep up. The reason we fall for it is simple. Multitasking flatters us. It makes us feel capable, busy, and important. But the feeling doesn't match reality. Recognizing that gap between what we think multitasking does and what it actually does is the first step toward breaking free from the illusion. Plus, Look at everyday examples. The myth of multitasking shows up in daily life more than we realize. Let's start with studying. You sit down to review notes while listening to music with lyrics. It feels like you're doing both, absorbing knowledge and vibing to the song, but your brain is actually bouncing back and forth between the words on the page and the words in your ears. That constant switching tanks comprehension. You think you're learning, but the material slips through the cracks. Or take Zoom calls. Ever tried to participate while secretly texting under the table? You feel clever until someone calls your name and you scramble to catch up. You weren't actually listening. You were toggling. The result is missed context, awkward pauses, and the dreaded, "Sorry, could you repeat the question?" Cooking while chatting on the phone is another classic fail. You're chopping veggies, laughing with a friend, and suddenly, oops, the onions are burning. The truth is, you weren't balancing both. You were switching, and the stove lost. Even walking isn't immune. People who text while walking often bump into poles or wander into traffic. Their brains couldn't split attention between typing and navigating. It's funny when you see it on a meme, but dangerous in reality. Entertainment doesn't escape either. Watching TV while scrolling TikTok feels like maximizing fun, but it's the opposite. You end up missing plot details in the show while forgetting half the videos you just saw. Both experiences get diluted. The spotlight here is that multitasking isn't real efficiency. It's smoke and mirrors. You're not doubling productivity, you're having it. The brain is like a light bulb, powerful when focused, but weak when scattered in all directions. So the next time you find yourself bragging about multitasking, remember these everyday examples. The illusion is sneaky, but the proof is in the mistakes. The burned food, the missed details, the half-remembered shows. The multitasking myth doesn't make you superhuman. It makes you slower, sloppier, and strangely less satisfied. So, how do we outsmart the multitasking myth? The good news is that you don't have to keep falling for the multitasking illusion. Once you understand how the brain really works, you can build habits that align with it instead of fighting against it. The first and most powerful fix is single tasking. Focus on one thing at a time. It sounds boring in a world that glorifies doing it all, but it's actually the secret to getting more done in less time. Psychologists recommend techniques like the Pomodoro method, 25 minutes of deep focus followed by a 5-minute break. This works because it matches the natural rhythm of attention. By giving your brain one clear target, you eliminate switching costs and finish faster with fewer mistakes. Another method is task batching. Instead of checking emails, texts, and social media constantly throughout the day, group them into specific blocks of time. Answer messages at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. instead of every 5 minutes. Batching reduces interruptions and keeps your brain in the right mental folder for longer stretches. Mindfulness also helps. By practicing awareness, you become more sensitive to when your brain is drifting. Even pausing to take a breath before switching tasks gives you a chance to ask, "Do I really need to check that right now?" Often, the answer is no. Then there's deep work. This means carving out longer, uninterrupted periods for demanding tasks, like writing, problem solving, or creative projects. Research shows this is where real breakthroughs happen. It's hard at first because distraction feels comfortable, but the payoff is enormous. Finally, there's acceptance. True multitasking is impossible, but that's not a weakness. It's just how the brain operates. Instead of feeling guilty for not doing it all, shift the goal to doing one thing well. Productivity isn't about how many windows you can juggle. It's about finishing what matters most. When you outsmart the multitasking myth, you stop scattering your attention like confetti. You gain focus, clarity, and surprisingly, more time. Because when you stop pretending to juggle everything, you finally start getting things done. So the next time you brag about multitasking, remember, it's not a superpower, it's a trap. Your brain isn't running tasks side by side, it's frantically flipping between them, dropping efficiency with every switch. The secret to real productivity isn't doing everything. It's doing one thing at a time. Well, if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe now before your brain jumps to another tab and forgets. And don't worry, I promise I won't judge you if you're multitasking while watching this.